Hi folks, well, at LR Workshop you find me in one of my favourite places, sitting in a rest of the world spec Defender 300 TDI in the wonderful continent of Africa. This one is particularly special, but I've been wanting to find one of these for a very long time. This is a very, not rare, but uncommon type of rest of the world spec Defender. There's only 503 like this one. And in this video I'm going to tell you why. Now it all comes down to the VIN number. Let's go and have a look. For those of you that don't know a whole lot about VIN numbers, SALLD means Land Rover Defender, B means 110 heavy duty, A means pickup soft top or hard top, F means 300 TDI without EGR, so basically rest of the world spec, 8 means left hand drive with 5-speed gearbox, 4 means 2004 model, A means built on Solihull, and the rest of it is the unique serial number. Why is that important? It's the B, that's the interesting bit. Now, B means 110 heavy duty. Now, in the 97, 98, 99 era, B means pretty much Wolf Defender. All the Wolves have that B. The 90s have got an A, means heavy duty. 90. Pumas have got B in the VIN number if they're a heavy duty chassis, like utility vehicles and things like that. So the Puma era, they're quite common to get a heavy duty there. I think they had, so they have a chassis with plates top and bottom along the rails and extra plating, and the helper springs on the rear axle as well. That's what I believe heavy duty meant for the Puma. But there's these 503 in the 2002 to 2006 era, which had those B VIN numbers, and I never knew what that B meant. Was it a wolf? Were they wolves that were carried on? But I always thought that the wolves were, the jigs for all the wolf parts were scrapped. So now that I found this vehicle, and I've never seen one before, I actually know that these do have a heavy duty chassis. Let's go and take a look.
So here's that extra plate that's welded onto the top of the chassis. Looks to be maybe 2.5, 3 mil plate there. And then there's the helper springs. And then looking across to this cross member in front of the shock absorbers, it looks like there's a bit of extra bracing in there as well. And then on the spring seats, they've got these extra kind of like fingers that are welded on here, presumably to give an extra bit of stiffness to the spring tops. This looks like it would be typically a normal chassis that's then just had the plates welded either side. They stop here. So it comes up to just about where the lashdown rings go, and then it isn't inside where the anti-roll bar mounts are, so that's what makes me think it's been done afterwards. And then it goes up to the edge of the spring seat there. And then that plating travels pretty much all the way along the bottom of the chassis, all the way up to the front here, about where the engine mounts are. And you see here though, the front anti-roll bar has been put on afterwards.
So there were 503 of these made, and that doesn't sound like they're particularly rare, but if you take the whole 500,000 Defenders that were ever made, and you picked 1,000 at random, only one of them would be like this, a non-Wolf, non-Puma that has a heavy-duty chassis, and which I think makes them pretty incredible. I didn't know, so there we go. So I think the only difference I've seen is the chassis, the plating on the chassis. It's got the helper springs. The rear axle is not a Wolf rear axle. There's no extra bracing that I can see in the chassis. It's just the plates along the top and bottom. Now I say there's 503. There's 425 that are just like this one, hard top or a soft top or a pickup. Probably hard tops, you never know. 12 of those have, instead of F in their VIN number, they've got K, which supposedly means 300 TDI with EGR that's cooled. I don't know anything about that. If anyone knows anything about that, it's K, B-A-K. You'll see it as a B-A-K in the VIN number. Apparently they're in Italy. They went to Italy. I don't know if they're military or what, but I've never seen any parts for a cooling system for the EGR.
Alright, well, Muggins here obviously didn't Google very far, because you just have to Google it really, and you find out that it was fitted to Japanese spec Discovery 300 TDIs. The part number is ERR6723, and that's basically the EGR component that takes an extra coolant pipe to I guess cool the exhaust before it goes back into the intake. Supposedly you get a better burn from that because it's not so much hot gas going into the intake. I find it curious why they wouldn't have piped it to the intercooler pipe and then piped it around that way. Also, I have found a picture of one of the SALLDBAF's actual confirmed vehicle. This is one of the 12. It was in the Italian Cabinieri, I hope I pronounced that correctly, and it's a kind of a military kind of hybrid. So these were built in 2002. They're 2A chassis numbers. This one's a bit tatty, but I imagine the chassis, I don't have pictures of the chassis, but I suspect it's HD chassis, as the VIN number would allude to. What we can see is that it's got a tub kind of similar to a Wolf, but not exactly. It's a soft top. It's got the Wolf front doors. Definitely got the Wolf front doors, the lower and the upper. And then the dashboard, the centre of the dashboard, is very similar to the kind of Snatch 2As that were converted in 2005. Very similar kind of central dash. Potentially like a convoy light setup, that kind of switch. So that has closed one of the many conundrums, and it's quite funny that I've found this photo in the process of editing this video rather than filming it. So anyway, let's get back to the video.
But anyway, 12 of the heavy-duty 300 TDIs are those. The last 78 are station wagons. Can you imagine that? A 110 station wagon with a heavy-duty chassis. And believe it or not, in this fleet here where I am now, there was one. And it's been scrapped. I can only assume that it has a heavy-duty chassis. I would love to be able to confirm that, but there we go. There we go. That's the way the world is. But yeah, really interesting. I find that really interesting. I've solved a mystery that I've wondered about for a while, and I've seen one in the flesh. You may not have known that there were rest of the world spec Defenders with heavy-duty chassis. I certainly didn't, but here we are. It smells in here. This vehicle got washed today. Because it's been out in the sticks. It's quite hot and sweaty in here because all the water's evaporating. It smells like oil, grease and mud all mixed together. It's kind of that funk in here. It's got a bit of a roll cage on it. The headlining is pretty grubby, but that's how they go. It's just a used vehicle. It's got 56,000 kilometres on the clock, which is not many. There's quite a few others that have got like pushing 400,000, but there we go. Let's feel the gearbox. Not bad. I would say that's better than the gearbox I got from Ashcroft, perhaps. Yeah, interesting. Anyway, I hope you found this video a little bit interesting because of my fascination with rest of the world spec Defenders, and I feel incredibly privileged to be able to see them out in a place like this. I'm not in the sticks at the moment. I'm just in a compound, but it feels great to be able to come and see these vehicles in their natural habitat. Here's one thing. Now, I always thought when I first drove rest of the world spec Defenders in Belize, I always thought that they had a grab handle up above the door, and this one does. But it's just take the ones from the second row on station wagons or the rear door, and you can stick it on up here. It's a really great addition actually. But yeah, I don't think they're standard fit. They're not standard fit. But there we go. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye for now.